Hello everybody, my name is Sniping is Fun and welcome you all back to my next top 10 list. I'm going to present to all of you here on YouTube. I'm finally jumping back into the world of my top 10s. I just recently recorded a top 10 for my top 10 favorite RWBY characters from, Rooster Teeth's RWBY show. And you should be seeing that uploaded around the same time as this. But this is my next video game, anime, whatever, top 10 list. And I've been planning on doing this top 10 list for a while. If you guys haven't noticed, I haven't done a whole lot of top 10 lists on my channel in the last couple months. My last one was like last year in 2016. But I do have a backlog of a few top 10 lists I've been wanting to get back to for a while, this being, quite frankly, one of them. And this will be one of two top 10 lists I jump back into top 10 list videos with. And this one is my top 10 video game franchises that I feel should be made into an anime, indoor, a cartoon. Some sort of animated series, show, something. And quite frankly, we've seen video games turned into anime series and cartoons before. There was an anime of Devil May Cry. Quite frankly, there's the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, and there was a Super Mario Bros. Anime as well. Legend of Zelda, excuse me, princess. And there was a Donkey Kong show. F-Zero had an anime before. Mega Man has had numerous stuff. Final Fantasy has had a show before and has had movies. And like all these other video game franchises over the years, since video games inception, we've seen video game franchises turned into video game franchises turned into animes and cartoons, turned into movies. The Mario Brothers movie or the Mortal Kombat movie, and Blood Rain had stuff, and Resident Evil's turned into a massive success, and all these other things have been turned into cartoons, animes, movies, TV shows, whatever the heck else. This list is going to be other shows that I feel should accompany that, at least in the terms of, in the realm of anime/cartoons. Like an animated series, not a movie, not a TV show, not a direct to whatever the heck else. An anime/cartoon. Because quite frankly, there's other franchises out there I feel would make sense for that. And like the world of video games has had numerous, animes and cartoons, just like I mentioned, and there's ones that haven't been adapted yet that sure as heck would be making sense. And just so you know, before I get started, I did set this list up months ago, back in 2016, so one or two of the things that are on this list might be a little bit outdated, but not majorly. So before I get in this introduction to be too long, let's get this list started with my number 10 on this list of video game franchises I feel should be turned into an anime or a cartoon. Either or, if you want it in the anime style or cartoon style, whatever the heck else. It's just animated show. Let's just look at it as that. And so, like I said, number 10, and that's going to be Golden Sun, because the world of RPG video game franchises always make for almost perfect shows. Like they've done Final Fantasy, they've done like Mass Effect and all sort of stuff, like Western and Japanese RPGs. And Golden Sun is, while it's still a small Nintendo franchise, is still a beloved Nintendo franchise for a lot of fans. And it's a franchise that a lot of fans want to see brought back with Golden Sun 4, because we've been on a freaking cliffhanger since freaking 2010 Nintendo. Camelot. And it's like, the fantasy genre also makes for a lot of sense. You have 3 games you could almost adapt stories from. It doesn't have to necessarily be like full-blown stories as of like the exact to the T on the games. You have from Isaac's stuff to Matthew's stuff, all their whole adept powers and all these villainous characters trying to take over the world. You just have so much content you can make for a TV series on. Quite frankly, if they did something like this, maybe finally it'd be enough interest to bring back the freaking franchise. And it is a Nintendo franchise, because I know Nintendo said they were interested in making anime and cartoons, and they've been wanting to use their franchise for more stuff. This one right here would be a good one to start with, Nintendo. That's my number 10. Here's my number 9. Another Nintendo franchise, in Metroid, because Metroid's another franchise that I feel would make a lot of sense for a some sort of anime or cartoon, because it's like you have this bounty hunter and Samus Aran going around space, doing all her freaking missions, and just, you know, saving the world from Metroids and whatnot. And you can either A, go the route of actually making it to the games and kind of doing the concept of like, okay, the original Metroid, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, you got the Prime games, you got Other M, you got Fusion, you got Super. You can go through the events of those games, detailing her losing her parents to Ridley, and then being in the Galactic Federation under Adam Malkovich, training there, deciding to go out, getting by the Chozo and having their powers, being a bounty hunter, blah, blah, blah. And you can do the full-blown, like, pretty much the T of the games with some original stuff here and there. I mean, quite frankly, they did make a manga. You can kind of even base it off the freaking manga. Or you can go original route, make it entirely different from the games and the manga, all you want. But it's like this giant space adventure. It could be like, you know, there's space, like, you know, Gundam or Cowboy Bebop or Eureka 7, or in terms of American, you know, cartoons, like there's been Star Wars stuff and all this, like these space intergalactic battles and shows and stuff. Why couldn't we get one with Samus? And just like Golden Sun, it would bring back interest in the franchise, which, quite frankly, there's more interest in Metroid than there's Golden Sun, sad to say. I really wish Golden Sun was more loved for stuff by gamers, and especially by the company that makes it. But like Metroid, like, it would give this franchise much needed love and bring the franchise back. And there's a lot of stuff you can do in a space element. There's not a whole lot of space series outside of like you know, Gundams and whatnot, or Star Wars or whatever. So this could be original and stand out. That's my number 9. Let's get on to number 8. Monster Hunter. Now, before I get started on this, I do know there is a Monster Hunter anime out there, and it's the super chibi, cartoony, you know, I hate saying this word, kiddie style, and I haven't watched it yet, but I do know it exists. I would like to see them take an adaptation, some sort of like dark cartoon, darker anime, where it's like more serious and more so like the games, like a more darker, serious art style of all these giant monsters like taking over the world and whatnot, all these monster hunters trying to, you know, stop them and save them from like the Rathalos and all this other crap. All these giant monsters that you've basically seen through like Monster Hunters 1, 2, 3 generations, and here, whatever the heck, the Monster Hunter franchise. There's a million different monsters in the entire freaking series, underwater, in the sky, whatever the heck else. Make it like a Devil May Cry series, or what they're doing with Castlevania now for Netflix. Some darker series, like an anime or cartoon that just like kind of fits the games a little bit more. Now I know they're not super dark and graphic and violent, but a little bit more than the one we have, which I'm not knocking, but I'd like to see something a little bit more to the franchise as it is when you play it. That's my number 8. Here's my number 7. Another Nintendo franchise, and I'm not trying to be a fanboy here saying Nintendo things, there's other stuff coming up, but it's just like a lot of Nintendo franchises to me come off as something that makes a good cartoon or an anime. And Kid Icarus is one of them, and case in point, the major reason for that is Kid Icarus Uprising. They had such good chemistry with a lot of the characters, the comedic stuff, the action stuff, like, you know, the bickering between people, and the storyline and the character kind of development and whatnot there in Kid Icarus Uprising. You pretty much have a show easily made for this. And you freaking had, like, during Smash Bros. 4, when they revealed Palutena, it was a freaking anime trailer of her appearing and helping Pit fight Link and stuff like that. Do it like that, but in the style, in the comedic and action storyline style of Kid Icarus Uprising. Everyone would love that. I've seen people ask for stuff like that before. This is a Nintendo franchise, Nintendo, hey, that really would do well with a show. That's my number 7. Let's get on to the final part of the final entry on this list of part 1, number 6. Dynasty Warriors. They've done, like, you know, Samurai Warriors-esque stuff through, you know, Sengoku Basara And Japanese history is mentioned and relevant and included in a ton of anime. But how about, like, the Three Kingdoms, the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, you know, ancient Chinese history? Like, we've seen, like I said, Sengoku Basara basically is, you know, Capcom's Samurai Warriors, that's franchise of, you know, feudal Japan warfare and history and stuff like there with, like, Nobunaga Oda and stuff like that. And, you know, people like that. But and Japanese history in general has a big, huge part in anime, and a lot in, like, at least in anime. But how about we focus on, like, Chinese history for once, and Koei Tecmo's, you know, other freaking, you know, Mushu game, you know, Dynasty Warriors. It could be an anime, and we could. I mean, I know they detail stuff in Chinese history too, but it seems like Japanese history takes a big, major preference over that sometimes. But Chinese history has been mentioned a lot in anime as well. You could do an anime that focuses on ancient, you know, Romance of the Three Kingdoms type character, you know, from Wu, Shu, Wei, and all that stuff. Or you could even do, like, a slightly darker, like what they're doing in Castlevania, which is not comedic. You know, like Netflix adaptation, a cartoon of this of Dynasty Warriors. There's so much history you can deal with. All these different factions, all these different character types that you can, you know, base off of more so off like Dynasty Warriors, because they kind of did accentuate the characters a lot more than pretty much what they would have been like in real life hundreds of thousands of years ago with ancient, you know, Romans during that time of China and all that. But just imagine, especially when I found this art style, I literally looked up on Google to get this picture, like Dynasty Warriors anime, and I forgot who specifically did this artwork, but something like this art style, even like this, it looks so nice just seeing these characters, like all these different variety of characters, all this different warfare you can get away with. Pull a Sengoku Basara with Chinese history, with Dynasty Warriors, and you got yourself a nice cartoon, nice anime. It has a lot of room for a ton of content to fill that show with a ton of episodes and storylines. And that's it for my part 1 of this top 10 list. Hope you guys like this video. Put in the comments section what you guys think. What do you guys think of my numbers 10 through 6? Do you agree with them, disagree with them, and what, you know, video game franchise do you feel would make sense for a anime or a cartoon? We can discuss it down there, have fun, and do that while waiting for part 2 of this list. I hope you guys like this video. Like I basically mentioned with part 2, please come back for part 2. Stay tuned for part 2 and see what my numbers 5 through 1 are with my honorable mentions. And hope you guys like the video. Like I mentioned, please subscribe if you want to, and have a lovely day, and see you all later in the next part of this list. See ya.